Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Connie, go ahead.
I think we should have a discussion about allowing drones to spray herbicides and a possible resolution. Wouldn't be for this year, but just to have it on the books.
Okay, so we'll go 7.10.
Yeah, drone spraying.
Okay, Josh, did you have something to add?
Just about the clean farm site in Hilda, if we can do something a little different about the fencing.
Okay, so 7.11.
Also, where we're at with the weed control on some of these renewable energy sites.
Okay, 7.12 is weed control. Okay, anything else? If not, Josh is moving. All in favor? Carried. Well, we may as well move right into our delegations. Dwayne, would you mind coming up and taking a seat, and we'll let you have the floor right away.
I'll just say next slide when I need the next slide, okay. Well, okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. So I'm Dwayne Rogness. I'm the new Executive Director for CWA. I'm sure you guys know what CWA is, Southeast Alberta Watershed Alliance. Just a pleasure to be able to come here and speak to you today. So next slide. Basically, I just want to start with a quick little recap over our vision and our mission. So a healthy watershed, the vision, a healthy watershed that provides balance between social, environmental, and economic benefits. In that vision, I think the economic benefits is probably almost the most important part there, because without economics, without money, we can't do any of the stuff ahead of it, right? So I'm pretty adamant about making sure that we're economical. Our mission, the Southeast Alberta Watershed Alliance, brings together diverse partners to educate the public, to support knowledge development and develop and facilitate the implementation of management plans for the sustainable use of the South Saskatchewan River Subbasin and the Pekauki Lake watershed. And that's good there, Baden, yeah. So topics I will discuss today are so some of the Water for Life strategy, the Watershed Planning and Advisory Council, so WPACs, their roles a little bit. And then I want to talk about CWA, our board, the committees, volunteers, the staff, and then some of the future projects where I want to go. The CWA, as you guys know, has worked extensively in the city of Medicine Hat for years now, working with Russian olive trees, and I'm taking this out to the countryside and working with farmers is what I really want to do. So future projects, riparian areas, watershed and stewardship group building, and then funding as well. So we work in partnership with the Government of Alberta to achieve the goals of the Water for Life strategy. Watershed Planning and Advisory Councils are 11 independent multi-sector nonprofit organizations that are designated by the Government of Alberta as partners to help achieve the goals, the 3 goals of the Water for Life strategy. So number 1 being safe, secure drinking water supply, and 2, a healthy aquatic ecosystem, and then 3, reliable quality water supplies for a sustainable economy. And these goals are met through the 3 key directions that would be knowledge and research, partnerships, and water conservation. That's the next one now, thanks. And the Southeast Alberta Watershed Alliance is a WPAC for the South Saskatchewan River Basin within Alberta. Essentially, we have an area of about 20,000 kilometers square, and 80,000 is our population there. So CWA's strategic goals for 2023 to 2026 are number 1, enhance organization capacity. And that's mainly to build the board. We need to build the board, we'll just say that. And that's good, ongoing. Number 2, build and enhance relationships, which I'm trying to do right here. And I'll be talking with 40 Mile as well. And I see Lisa, this cup is leaking, I think, so sorry about that. And basically, like I said, number 2, build and enhance relationships. And then number 3, develop water and water management plans. And right now, I'm working on the state of the watershed report for South Saskatchewan River Basin and Pekauke Lake. Number 4, thank you. Develop local watershed knowledge and educate the public and watershed stakeholders. So that's what our strategic goals are for the next 3 years, and that's where I'm focusing, trying to get this again out to the agricultural producers. So we also use guidance from the regional plans. That would be slide 6. Yeah, there you go. You had it, you got it. And so we also use guidance from the regional plans, like the South Saskatchewan Regional Plan 2020 to 2024. And we're focusing on number 3 and number 4 of that plan. So number 3 being the biodiversity and ecosystems, and 4, water. So management of riparian lands, source water protection planning, and then of course water conservation. And number 4 is kind of key to me and where I will focus a lot in the next 3 years, obviously. So CWA is a multi-sector volunteer-based, not-for-profit organization. They were incorporated in 2008, and the membership includes all watershed stakeholders. We have 17 seats on the board. The officers are a chair, a vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. We have a website that's up there, and we're also on Twitter, Facebook, and then just as early as last week, or as late as last week, we got on LinkedIn. Next one, Braden. So this is our board there, and the one that I want to bring to your attention is just the 2 open seats for the rural municipal government. There's 2 vacant seats there. So if any of you guys are interested, we sure could use a lot more we'll just say experience and guidance and stuff. But anyway, that's my plug at that, and I'll just move on from there, Braden, please. So our CWA, we have committees and the volunteers. So volunteers are welcome to join the communication committee, the technical committee, the policy committee, and then the projects, just help out with the projects in any way they can, whether it's a cash donation, tools, or just helping with that project. So our staff, we have the executive director, which has been basically CWA for the last 8 years, just an executive director. They have a part-time stewardship and communication coordinator, of which I am trying to hire a full-time person right now. We have summer students every year, 2 of them, and then we sometimes will have an intern, depending on what our workload is there. And then some of our completed projects are basically, we've done a riparian health assessment on 7 Persons Creek. There has been a water quality study done for Medicine Hat and Red Cliff. And then there's been riparian restoration done with various partners and students out there. One thing that I want to discuss, like I said, is group building. So that's the next one, Braden, sorry. So the stewardship toolbox. This is a piece of literature that's on the government website, and what it is just to help watershed stewardship groups become a formal group, and if they're so inclined, and help them find or get the funding that's available to the stewardship / watershed groups kind of thing out there, right? So I want to be able to help with that part of it, and just the idea is to form the groups, and that way they're able to get some more additional funding, we'll say. And then I also want to help with grants and BMP adoption. This was where I excelled at when I was the extension person at Lethbridge County. One of them, or a couple of them to mention, is the Watershed Resiliency and Restoration Program, so the WRRP program, the EcoTrust Environmental Impact Grant, and then, of course, you guys are probably familiar with the Sustainable Canadian Agriculture Partnership in Alberta grant system there. The WRRP Resiliency and Restoration Program, that one there, that's one that we missed out on by about a month. I got hired on about a month late, and I would have liked to have applied for that, because that's a really good one for offering riparian enhancements, BMP enhancements, so off-site watering, grazing, fencing, all sorts of things like that, right? So that was, and we'll look into that next year, and hopefully we can offer that up next year. Next one, Braden, please. That's just some pictures of, some of the work they've done and where they've shored up some of those spots, some riparian areas. And then again, like I mentioned, there's some pictures of the city there, and they have focused heavily into the city there, but that was where I guess their knowledge was, and that's where they felt comfortable. So again, I'm trying to move this thing along and move it out into the countryside and let people know that we're willing to help farmers and all ag producers out there. So, and then the last one there, please, Braden. So there are a lot of curves ahead, but I think with cooperation and collaboration, we can go a long way to help reduce the impact of the unknown twists and turns we encounter. And it's just kind of one of those things that we're here for information, for any way we can help with your Ag Service Board. We have projects coming up, drought and flood mitigation projects that are coming up in the new year. If we can get them off the ground, we want to work with everybody. I'm actually going over to 40 Mile County and doing a presentation over there in the near future as well. And just imagine a matter of just getting my name out there, letting people know that CWA is here to help, and in any way we can, and just that's about it. So I won't take any more of your time, but thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Dwayne. Any questions, guys? Go ahead, Shane.
You mentioned that you guys have done some riparian areas. Where and what did you do?
So that was at Seven Persons Creek, where they did some work there. And it was done by Stantec Engineering, and it was through observations of satellite data. So my goal would be to be utilizing cows and fish to be able to come out there and do a polygon, and that way you get a little bit better information there. They're a little expensive, but there's money there for that kind of program. So to my knowledge, Seven Persons Creek and then some of the riparian areas that are in the city of Medicine Hat are the work they did on riparian areas. And again, just bank stabilization, fencing they fenced off pets away from the river, we'll say, again, they were working with what their expertise was at the time, right? So would be really happy to be moving outside to the creeks, the rivers, and the streams and stuff like that.
Thank you. Anything else? Go ahead, Blaine.
So, in your group building part of it, would your organization help with grants and stuff to help, like,
Yes.
We're having some issues with some, leafy spurge coming out of the river and stuff. Would your organization help with some of the producers to, fund some grants to help control that, or?
Very much so, Blaine. I would love to be able to head up something like that, or work with your Ag Service Board, team up with them and do that 1,000%. Any noxious, prohibited noxious weeds that you guys want to work with, I really like to be able to assist and team up with that kind of thing for sure. Yes, that would be very beneficial to all of us, I believe, right? So, yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but you're more about like the bio releases and things like that, not so much dealing with the chemical end of it.
Well, that's a very good point, Dustin, because I think the mindset is to stay away from chemical if you can, but in my mind, as the executive director, the chemical application is part of the tools in the toolbox, right? So biocontrol is there for sure, I get it. Mechanical control, chemical control, everything that you need for a good integrated weed management program. I think that's what the toolbox is, not just one practice over the other. I think you need to have all of those tools to be successful. For leafy spurge, for one thing, just to draw down on the reserves, right? So it's, yes, I would support chemical applications for sure. And I can say that for sure, yes.
Connie?
Now, I mean, up to a certain point, from the river and stuff like that, too, right?
Yeah,
Setbacks,
there's
right?
always a
So
setback.
Let's make sure we add that in there, right? But, yeah.
I mean, that would be the thing. I mean, if you could control it, outside of your setback with chemical, and then inside, you know, you do your other programs or
Yeah,
whatever. That
so
would sure be helpful.
essentially it becomes kind of a buffer almost, right, Blaine? Yes, exactly, exactly. I've been around that game for a long time. I know that a sound integrated management, weed management program is many tools, not one approach to this stuff, right? So you need everything. And you need lots of people helping too, because there's a lot of perspectives out there and experience too.
Perfect. Go ahead, Connie.
Yeah, and in terms of Russian olives, is there anything that mapping out how much Russian olive there is, or?
Well, they have been mapping out Russian olive on that EDD map, right? And we do have a task force with the city there, with Medicine Hat there. You know, my technician there, he's working with them quite a bit, and actually, there's a few board members that actually sit on the Russian olive committee, we'll just call it, for lack of a better term, I can't remember what it is. But yes, they're working on it, and in fact, I know the city is actually trying to get it elevated to noxious, right? And I said, well, I think that's an RMA event or something like that, you guys know better than I do, right? But being that they're an urban municipality, I believe that's where they need to go to, right? So like I said, we've got board members that are on different committees that are looking after, or trying to look after that, and I understand what they're doing there. Coming from Lethbridge County in that area there, we never had a lot of Russian olive over there, so it was quite an eye-opener when I come here. It's like, holy smokes, right? But it's not on the noxious or prohibited noxious list. So it becomes, I think it's the city's kind of project, and then we just kind of help where we can there, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Go ahead, Josh.
Are you guys doing anything in terms of lobbying, or maybe not lobbying, but monitoring the flow rates in the South Saskatchewan River to continue with the economic impact of that river downstream, not just upstream and all the irrigation?
I know exactly where you're going with this one here, and we are taking the data that's out there, right? So from whatever resource, from the rivers, I can't remember the website that's out there, I just can't think of it right now, but that website projects the water flow on a daily basis. And I'm sorry, it escapes me right now what the website is, but I will be reporting on it. Like I mentioned, I am actually involved with the Old Man Watershed Council and Milk River Watershed Council Canada to deliver a drought resiliency program here in the spring. Actually, it might be late winter, early spring. And then as I am trained in that kind of thing, I'll be bringing it out here as well, so we can kind of have that type of workshop here as opposed to, you know, in Lethbridge. In regards to water flow and what's not coming, I think what I would like to do is be able to include that on our website, the flows and stuff. That way it might be a little easier to get to, just a link or something like that. But you know what, that's a good idea, Josh, and I think that's the sky's the limit in regards to that, so we can definitely do something there, as in just reporting what the flows are, I guess, and maybe helping that prediction model a little bit too, right? But I know that drought is going to be on everybody's mind in the near future here, right? So,
Yeah, it was brought to our attention this year that with temporary water licenses out of the South Saskatchewan, if the flow rate got too low, they were going to cut us off.
yes.
So that's a big concern for us.
Well, I was in Warner County about this time last year as well, and I was the assistant ag fieldman there, and they're nervous, right? They're very nervous. In fact, it was this late summer where somebody had heard a rumor they were shutting all the water down. And there was some really upset producers, but it wasn't that bad at the moment. So what we found out is Waterton Reservoir was still completely full at the time. St. Mary's was empty, Ridge was empty, but they still had held back water at Waterton Reservoir, and so that was still in the system to come yet, right? So I think what I would be doing is trying to find a little spot on my website to be able to announce those water volumes and predictions and stuff like that from that website. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be good to
Think of
know,
that
yeah.
website right now, right? But that would be the extent of it right now, because that would be the government as the authority there, and the irrigation districts, I would think too, right? So, but that's kind of a naive response. I'll have a better response maybe in a couple months for that kind of thing, Josh.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, anything else, guys? One more thing I had, did you have any conversation yet with the provincial government about upcoming water share agreements that they're?
Not as of yet. Now, I have a meeting in, I think it's 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, with my other executive directors, and that'll be something we're all talking about at the time too, right? So I can come back and get information to Lisa if you want, and she can disseminate it out to you folks if you want to, or I can come back to this situation if you want to, whatever venue you want, for sure.
Yeah, I just kind of heard that they're going to have it rolled out the tube before Christmas time, so.
Yes,
If you can pass some information on when you get it, that'd be great.
Right. So, now Dustin, what was exactly you were looking for there on that?
Just info on essentially your watershed, what the share agreements are going to look like.
Okay, shared agreements, that's good. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so, anything else, guys?
Can I just say something?
Go ahead, Lisa.
So we're going to do a joint EFP workshop. Dwayne's going to facilitate it because he's got a lot of experience with doing EFPs and stuff. So we're going to be doing that on December 15th, I think we decided.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we got an ad ready to, I think it's going to probably go out today or something like
Yes.
that. So we'll see what kind of turnout we get, but we're going to do that at the office here
Yeah.
and see how that goes.
It's my pleasure to do that. I was going to mention I have 5 people that I can invite to that too. That'd be either from 40 Mile, I would think, or something like that. But
Perfect, yeah.
it's a little bit out of my scope to be doing that type of thing with the executive director job and stuff. But that's another way of building relationships, right? So I know that my board is going to be, oh, okay, I understand what you're doing now, right? But it is a little bit of a step outside just to say, yeah, I'm going to help with this environmental farm plan workshop. But the key thing there is getting to know producers, and once one producer gets to know me, then they spread the word, and it's about, hey, you know what, these people are here to help, right? And I instructed environmental farm plan workshops for 17 years now, so it's not a hard thing for me, and actually a privilege to be able to work with Lisa on that, and I thank you for that too, actually. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So,
Did you say that was the 15th of December? That's the Friday night of the Penn Show.
oh,
There might not be a lot of attendance if.
Yeah.
what's that again? What's
Friday night of the Penn Show in Medicine Hat, so pretty well everybody's in there.
okay?
Or a lot of people are in there.
So I don't think that's gone out yet, so we can change that.
No, we haven't sent it out yet, so we can.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
You bet.
Maybe it'll
Perfect.
be the
It's good heads up,
13th or
though.
something then.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, well, thank you, Dwayne. It's,
Thank you.
Look forward to
Thanks very
actually
much.
having a relationship with Siwa again. so.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything else, but I'm really am happy to come back in this capacity and kind of start kind of where OMAD Watershed Council and Milk River are, the way they're working, right? So I think it's a give-in, right? So anyway, thanks so much.
Perfect, thank you, Dwayne. Okay, well, we may as well move into our next delegation right away. Nicole, if you want to come up, and the floor is yours.
Sure, thanks. So I don't know how far, I do have a slide deck, and we can get into the full details, but the reason why I think I'm here is because the Premier started making phone calls on the weekend about flowering rush and leafy spurge in Cypress County and wanted some answers of what was happening. So it landed to agriculture, and agriculture connected with me, and because I basically worked on flowering rush for 10 years in the province, so I have a fairly extensive background, but I haven't forgot about the South Saskatchewan River. We do know that it's there. We did a full survey from where flowering rush originates in Calgary all the way downstream to the Saskatchewan border, so over 500 kilometers of survey, and it's fairly extensive in the river system. So I can go through what flowering rush looks like, what we've tried for management, and then show you the maps from that 2017, if you want to get into those details, or we can just question and answer and just go like that. Which do you prefer?
What do you guys want to do? Yeah, let's go through.
You want to
show
see
us.
it?
Do that.
Okay. We'll go through this pretty fast. Are you familiar with the identification of flowering rush? Have you seen it in all its glory? No? Maybe somewhat? Okay, let's just go through it. Identification. So this is flowering rush. It grows over 1 meter in length. Beautiful purple flowers and gets quite extensive once it gets going. Sword-like leaves, and it has like an umbrella-like flower to it. Next slide. Triangular leaves sets it apart from other like cattails and sedges. So once you learn to identify it, you can pick it out. But it is green within green vegetation, so it takes a little bit of an eye. Next, these are mats of flowering rush, and yes, these pictures are from Alberta locations, thankfully not the South Saskatchewan, but we are working on extensive populations of flowering rush. They do get sort of this red line at the water line, so that sort of makes them stand out from cattails and sedges and bulrushes. That's the pretty flower. That's why they were brought here as a pond plant, because of this beautiful flower. Next slide. This is just the seed head. So we have proven that there is no seed production on flowering rush. Whatever it needs to get that seed production is not being met in Alberta environments. This is the red areas where flowering rush originates. So it's in through Europe into Asia, and then no pests or anything came with it. So in North America, it has no bugs that eat it, diseases or anything that'll keep it in check. So it's really allowed to go wild. We do have other wildlife that will try and nibble on it and eat it and break it off, but they don't seem to be really using it. It was introduced as a water garden, and it has been horribly managed since, and now it is in quite a few water bodies. Next slide. It is a voracious aquatic perennial, so it is capable of a rhizome, so it will keep on stacking the root systems on top of itself, much like a strawberry runner will, but leaves. It has little bulbs off to the side on those root structure. You can see those little tiny little onion-like bulbs. That's all that's needed to break off and start a new population. Those bulbs are also capable at growing at the inflorescences where the base of the flower where they all come together. I haven't seen that happening in Alberta, and that's what the seed looks like. We haven't seen that in Alberta. So we basically in Alberta, we're facing the rhizome growth, and then the little bulbules and little root fragments are also capable of growth. Here's the rhizome fragments floating in water. There's a large carbohydrate reserve, so they do survive for extensive periods. They are buoyant, so they will float and go downstream, and they often will start developing roots as they're floating along, so when they hit the ground, those roots are ready to just anchor themselves and hit the ground running. They can grow completely submerged up to 4.5 meters deep, and you might not even see it. This is me standing in Lake Chestermere and holding a leaf above my head, so pretty tall. Easily displaces beneficial plants. So this is a lot of green on green, but I can assure you that flowering rush is winning. There's a little bit of cattails off to the left and some darker green off to the right. Those are bulrushes and cattails. They are losing. Flowering rush is dominating these locations. It grows early in the spring. It starts growing as early as April when no other vegetation is growing, so it gets a jump on everything else and has that competitive advantage. Next slide. Ice heaves will disturb the roots. So all these exposed carrot-like roots are flowering rush from ice heaves in Lake Isle, which is an hour west of Edmonton. And all that disturbance breaks up the roots and actually causes more substantial growth in the spring. So here's all the problems. We're worried about the diversity of plants and animals found in areas. We do know that they take away the fish spawning habitat for the fish that need open with no vegetation. They promote sediment deposit. They slow or even stop water movement in some cases and limit water access and use by boaters and swimmers. And they can promote swimmer's itch because they encourage pond snails to live in these infestations. So here's the locations in Alberta. The significant dots west of Edmonton, that is Lake Isle. That's the most significant location in the province. And then we have a few in Edmonton and area, Olds, Lacombe, Calgary, and then basically from Calgary it radiates down through the Bow River quite extensively into the South Saskatchewan, and now we've shared it as well with Saskatchewan through the South Saskatchewan River. This is Lake Isle. This is the most significant population in the province. We have over 24 kilometers
of flowering rush along the shorelines, multiple year surveys, that's what the color dictates, but it's pretty much taken over the entire lake system in some capacity and is starting to move down the Sturgeon River headed towards St. Albert. Here's the initial surveys from 2017, just starting at the Bow River, just downstream from Calgary, only a few little dots, but next slide. Then we start going down the stream and there's more showing up, more showing up. More. Here we're heading the South Saskatchewan with the Grand Forks area. South Saskatchewan's still a little bit further. Here we're hitting, what is this one? Medicine Hat. So yeah. And then it continues on past Medicine Hat into CFB Wayne, Suffield, sorry. And then continue to the Saskatchewan border, and here it's crossing into the Saskatchewan border. So Saskatchewan has also paid just recently for a survey to be completed to update these locations. We haven't got the map yet, but they paid from Medicine Hat downstream, which was difficult because it was extremely dry, so they had to kayak the distance because no boater wanted to take them down the river stretches that they wanted to see. So we have done many things in the last 10 years that I've been involved with flowering rush. We've clipped flowering heads as soon as we started detecting flowering rush. At that time, we didn't know that it was not doing seed production. So when you find a plant, you basically hit it where it reproduces, you think. So we were clipping flower heads. We no longer do this anywhere in the province, but this is Red Deer County. We have cut by hand, and we still continue to do this in some areas. This is the Lutheran camp out along Lake Isle. And so they're throwing out these razor blade rakes, pulling them back, cutting off all the leaves just to keep their boat access open, or then the beach access open. We do continue to dig by hand. This takes a pretty lengthy kind of experience to know how to do it properly so you're not breaking off things and letting them float downstream. And we only do digging by hand on isolated 1 or 2 plants, small clumps, huge stretches. This isn't feasible. It takes days to do meters and meters digging by hand. Red Deer County did get creative when they first found their location, and there was no herbicides registered at the time. And they said, well, let's hit it with some hot water and see if we can knock it back, much like glyphosate would do. And so they tried steaming it. But by the time the steam left the truck and they were able to get it out to where they needed it, it had dropped quite a bit of temperature and it wasn't really feasible to do. So they tried it once, we've abandoned it since. The irrigation canals have been dredging for silt, and they did argue that they were doing it for flowering rush as well. But you can see in these pictures out at Rocky View that they've only concentrated on the canal area, and then they just put like dirt on top of where the flowering rush is along the edges. And so it only worked for about a year, and then the flowering rush popped back through. So the dredging didn't really work because it wasn't really focused on the flowering rush locations, rather than, it was mostly the silt. Mechanical weed harvesters are both out on Chestermere Lake and Lake Isle, actively trying to remove most of the biomass from flowering rush, where they collect the biomass, and then basically use a conveyor belt to get it off the harvester and onto a wagon like this and haul it away for composting. We even leveraged a University of Calgary graduate study to explore control methods when we first started trying to address and tackle flowering rush, especially at Lake Isle, where we had lots of kilometers to deal with. So we instituted hand digging, barriers, chemical. We tried basically all that we thought would maybe work, and basically settled in on chemical. We also had some funding to do some diver-assisted suction harvesting, and we did this at Chestermere Lake, but it quickly didn't work. It was not cheap either, but as soon as they were walking around trying to find flowering rush, they were stirring up sediment, and then they quickly lost the visibility that they need to actually see and then suck out the flowering rush. So the visibility is kind of a killer of this method in Alberta. And then last but not least, we have done herbicides applied in water. When we first started working on flowering rush in the province, we had no registered chemicals, so we were doing that by emergency use. Now we have 2 registered chemicals, one that will just burn off the top, has no activity on the roots. And now we have a new one where it translocates down into the root system, kills the entire plant. So the pictures you're seeing here are mostly diquat reward. An equivalent is Reglone, used on terrestrial. And then we have imazapyr, the Habitat Aqua, that goes down into the root systems, and that one's been promising. So at Lake Isle, the biggest one I just secured 2 years ago. So we're 2 years into a 5-year project where we're using an airboat to spray Habitat Aqua over the entire shoreline with really good results. We're already seeing native vegetation coming back the year after, but we have like 30-meter tracks of flowering rush that we're trying to chip through and minimize. But the herbicides do take public consultation, First Nation consultation, as well as Métis settlement consultation, and it's no small feat. The same can be applied to leafy spurge. If we want to do chemicals within that 30-meter buffer zone of the river, it would also need same approvals and consultations, but we do it, and the province is building capacity. So I mainly focus on flowering rush, but I do have a counterpart in environment and protected areas that is working on public lands. So she does more of the bed and shore, and so she can help support the leafy spurge efforts if you want to go that route in the county.
Is that Natasha?
Natasha, yeah. Natasha Remus, yeah.
Any questions for Nicole, guys? Yeah, yeah, I think a lot of it answered it for me. So we're working on control and we're getting somewhere is kind of what I got from that.
Yes. So the problem with South Saskatchewan River and the Bow River is we haven't addressed anything because of the extensive length, and it doesn't make any sense for Cypress to jump in control because it's just going to keep coming downstream, right? So we're putting pressure on the Calgary Zoo, believe it or not, is actually the believed source of all that is in the river. So they have it in their prehistoric dinosaur ponds, and they have had it there for probably 15, 20 years. And in the winter, they pump that water out directly to the river. And so we've tried many times to try and get Calgary Zoo to address their problem. It's been a political nightmare, and yes, we have glimmers of hope that there's going to be better conversations, but that's where we're really putting our focus on, is for them to take care of their issue, and then we'll start chipping away down. South Saskatchewan is heavily used for irrigation. The 2 herbicides that we have registered have restrictions under irrigation. So Habitat Aqua has no irrigation use, none whatsoever, no days, no kilometers, distance, it's just no. So that one's kicked out. The reward has, I can't remember what it is, but I think it's like 2 weeks or something. We have never been able to secure that they would stop irrigating for 2 weeks. So I don't even know who I would talk to secure that, but we've never been able to get that. So that kicks out the herbicide, and hand digging is too extensive to do given the populations. So we're hoping that emerging biocontrol, so there are biocontrol agents coming out for flowering rush. There's a weevil and a stem rust, but we, as in the Alberta government, didn't put any funding, despite my best efforts, into the research. So we're not the first ones that get access to the agents. So BC government, I believe, got some agents just this summer because they did put some funding into the research to get those biocontrol agents secured. So they need to just build those populations before they start fanning it out and offering to everyone to use. But I think that is my hope for the South Saskatchewan and the Bow River, is the biocontrol agent, introducing it along the river systems. But it'll take some time.
Well, if you want a little outside of the box thinking, on a year like next year where they're talking about restricting water licenses in South Saskatchewan and the Bow River and everything else,
Might align
it might be a time to take and go jump on that ship and do it. And we might get a good head on it It might be the only advantage of drought there is.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Connie.
So it's all over Europe, so what are they doing there? Are they just nothing?
So it's rare and endangered in some areas, and then there are already pests and bugs and diseases that keep it in check, so it doesn't do the damage that it's doing in North America. So that's where they're going to get the biocontrol agents, so that's where they got this weevil. Then they bring it over here. They need 10 years to make sure that it doesn't eat anything else.
Yeah.
Flowering rush is the only plant in its family, so it's like very unique. So it makes it a prime candidate for biocontrol. So they have this few agents that they've been working on. The weevil seems the most promising and has gone all the way to rearing, and now it's allowed for Canadian release. The US don't have it approved for release yet, but
Yeah, I swear I saw it in England, like,
yeah,
yeah. Ugh.
yeah. Yeah, I'm ready to ship it over to them if they want some more. I can help them. Yeah.
Any other questions for Kim? Seeing none. Well, thank you very much for your presentation, and
Thanks.
keep up the good work, I guess.
But yeah, I mean, if you need more information, get Lisa to contact me. I'm happy to work with you. If you want to do leafing spurge on the bed shore areas, we can start that work. The flower and rush, we might have to wait a little bit, but the leafy spurge, there's probably opportunity to work with the province.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I've reached out to
Natasha.
Natasha about that, just since this has all come up
'Kay.
again for maybe next year, so we'll see where we can go with
'Kay.
that. Thank you, thanks so much.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, we'll move into the minutes from September 26th. Any errors or omissions there? Seeing none, Connie's going to move those.
Yeah, I will.
All in favor? Carried. And we'll move into reports. Lisa, if you can go ahead with yours, please.
Here we go. So the ditch spraying for Canada Thistle was finished October 19th. All the roads in the southern part of the county were checked and spot sprayed for Canada Thistle and any other kind of regulated weeds that we would find there. So approximately 145 hectares were sprayed. The fall rat inspections were started on November 2nd and finished November 27th. And again, we check all potential rat habitat along the Saskatchewan border and Range 1 for signs of Norway rats. 4 members and 2 staff attended the South Region ASB conference in Oyen. The fall tech training for environmental farm plans was in Lacombe on November 14th and 15th, so I went and attended that. And I believe all of us, I guess, were at the Cypress Connections Conference there last week at the Stampede Grounds, and that was very well attended, and Beth's been getting good reviews on that. IST is coming up. It'll be in Calgary at the Deerfoot Inn and Casino, December 4th to the 7th. As a hosting region, we will be headed up there on Sunday for final preparations and that sort of thing. So, and Braden and I will be receiving recognition for achieving our certified ag fieldman status with the AAAF there. We purchased an electric grease gun. That was a motion at the last meeting for the auction item at the ASB conference in January, and that's going to be in Lethbridge again. Invasive weeds. So on October 31st, I had a report that there was Phragmites found near Medicine Hat. So this was kind of a big gong show. It still seems to be. So it was an outfit that had been doing some work and found Phragmites along the railroad track. At first, they thought that it was in Cypress County, and then came back and said, oh no, it's in the city and within city limits. And I don't know why it's so confusing or why he's having a hard time, or she or whoever, finding a map. But anyway, so he's reached out to different organizations and businesses and stuff in regards to this, and he still hasn't gotten me a map or anything. So apparently it's north of the city, so in a new spot that we don't know of. Like, I know there's a few other locations like around the city and that sort of thing. So anyway, I'll help whoever if we need to go and map something for the city, because they don't really have an IPM program in the winter. So if they wanted us to go and check it out, I'd be glad to do that, but it doesn't sound like anything's gonna happen. So anyway, I'll try and keep tabs on this so we kind of have an idea if it's anywhere near our borders or something, or, you know, that sort of thing. So sounds like a CPR problem, so good luck to them trying to deal with them too, but we'll see how it goes. Where's my other page? So the Farming Smarter Conference is going to be on February 14th and 15th in Lethbridge. So I'm on top of it this year. So we're going to be able to get a registration for one producer, I guess, right? I think is kind of what our thoughts were in the past. So I'll watch for that, and we'll advertise for that maybe. I don't know, however we want to do it, if it'll be through social media or something for, you know, a contest or reply to the ad or whatever. So we'll do that in the new year, maybe when everybody's done thinking about Christmas and that sort of thing. There's going to be a fall edition of the ASB newsletter coming out in December. The assistant ag fieldman is going to be returning on December 11th. And when she's back, when we can kind of sit down, we're going to talk to Alice, the coordinator, again, and see where we can go with that. So far, there's been 2 mobile seed cleaning plant inspections done in November. And then we still will be doing the 1122 plant and leafy spurge. So that was a call that started with one of the counselors getting a call from a ratepayer that was concerned. I think you guys have all heard that, but the leafy spurge coming off the river, going up the coulees into private land, and wondering why he would have to pay for control when it's coming off the, you know, the river and that sort of thing. So do you?
Yeah, I understand that, but same as we had to pay for spraying when they come off the base.
Yeah, I know,
You
same
do have
thing.
some
Yeah,
responsibilities of your land. I mean, it's, where do you draw the line? I mean, I know it comes off the river. I mean, I had it on my property there too, coming off the river, and it's a tough one. I mean, for us to look after it along the whole river system, it's gonna be quite costly.
yeah,
Same as me having it coming off the creek.
yeah.
So what was the response to the ratepayer?
I'm not sure. I didn't talk to him directly. I don't know who it was. Just the fact that herbicides you can't use within, you know, 30 meters and that sort of thing. And, you know, like in my mind, maybe if it's on a complete basis or something, can we, you know, like we were talking with Dwayne or something, like spray fence lines or something just to help people? Like, I don't know. I don't know what the terrain is, you know, often that's the problem. Accessing it, that's the problem with mapping and even biocontrol. You can't get to places. So, you know, some municipalities have their own boat, and they have special use approvals and different things to carry herbicide in a backpack, but I mean, what's a backpack gonna do? And then again, finding access to the river, it's limited, so we'll see if, like, I've reached out to the government, you know, for Alberta Environment and Parks or protected areas, to see, like, I know they will support some herbicide application. I don't know what that looks like because we've never done it since I've been doing this anyway. But we get the grant from them for the leafy spurge beetles. So there is potentially, you know, some money there for herbicide or application or something, so might help, you know, somehow.
I think you're gonna have a really long list if you do it for one ratepayer.
And I think so too, so, I don't know. I'd have to figure out something.
Well, it kind of made it sound like, you know, maybe we could direct the ratepayer or whatever towards CWA, and maybe between the ratepayer and they work together on some kind of control. I mean, it's pretty much out of our realm to do, because like you say, I mean, if we do it as the county for one person, we're gonna be doing it for everybody, so maybe it's something that it just gives the ratepayer an avenue to go deal with it.
Yeah, and I mean, Siwa, they wouldn't have equipment or anything like we would. So, yeah, I don't know.
Might be a change of scope for what Seawall does though as well. Now that
Yeah.
there's someone in there that's actually willing to do some things, they might have to change their scope and work from some different avenues.
Yeah, for sure, and he's progressive thinking, you know, like he's thinking about a few different projects and stuff, you know, going in a different direction, so maybe, yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Lisa? Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention our conference that we had. I'm getting really a lot of positive feedback. Even I was at Farm Credit here before I got here, and they all come up, the whole staff really enjoyed it, thought it was good, and really hoping that we continue on with it. They said it was really nice to see something in this area for a change, right in Medicine Hat, and hats off to the staff and everybody, and Dustin
Yes.
for your emceeing it. I thought it was great. I really did, and it was nice to see in this community for a change that we're not driving to Red Deer or Lethbridge or Edmonton for it, that it was here, and I'm getting good response from it, and I'd like to see it continued.
I'll pass that along, like we really had nothing to do with it, you know, so good on Beth, you know, like she did a really good job. So a few other things that I'm gonna just mention here quickly, because I didn't put it in. So the EFP workshop, we might have to change the date. But yeah, for sure. So that is coming up then. It'll probably be the same week. It'll probably be the 13th or something, because I think Dwayne has a board meeting or something on the 14th. That's what I was hoping for, but, so maybe the 13th. And then I've submitted to have a working well workshop, so that would be virtual. That'll be like in February sometime, like you have to submit the 3 weeks, top 3 weeks out of a list of 7 or whatever. So I haven't heard back on that one. And he had asked if we could partner on that, so I don't really know if there's anything to partner on that, other than putting their logo on an ad, you know, to advertise it type thing or whatever. And one more thing is we're gonna be doing an interview about the rat control zone and stuff with the Globe and Mail. So this gal's gonna come out from Calgary, and she thinks she's gonna spend the day with us looking for rats, I guess. So anyway, that's coming up. The- Yeah, I've got one with red eyes. I should put batteries in that.
There's that picture of Jason holding it right here, right? The last time it was.
Really? Yeah, so that, good times. It's not the first and won't be the last, I'm sure, so. Any more questions?
Anything else for Lisa, guys? I'll move as presented. Okay, Shane's gonna move Lisa's report. Let's just wait a minute. I actually have some reports to give. Believe it or not, we'll just take 5 here and wait for Josh to come back.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got actually two reports to give, believe it or not. So I got a provincial committee report for you guys, just some of the stuff we've been doing there. So first of all, ag recovery. So the province acknowledges that their dissatisfaction with the layout of the drought mapping that the federal government handed off to them. They realized there's some areas that got missed. They lobbied hard to get them included, but they were forced to sign on to get their 60% of the funding from the federal government. So a lot of those counties further north that are short on hay and whatnot, where they did get moisture is what they went off of, but it came real late and all the hay was kind of not existent, to say the least. But down here, pretty much all of the south is good for the grant, so, people can apply for that. So the provincial government recognizes that we're in a disaster when it comes to water in the south. The historic low levels of the Old Man and St. Mary's being at 4% is a matter of the greatest concern. Alberta Agriculture and Alberta Environment are currently working on preparing an El Nino winter plan, and currently in conversations about water share agreements if the level remains low coming into the spring. I did raise the question if the municipalities would be given first right to water over irrigation in dire situation, and the answer they had was water use for life and well-being is priority. The weeds on well sites, the provincial government is actually currently exploring the Weed Control Act, and we're looking to allow municipalities to be able to build leaseholders for the control of weeds on well sites. So they're in the juvenile stages of it, but it's reassuring to know that there is an avenue going forward with it. So I think that might answer your question coming later here. Vet shortages, so they've added 50 vet student seats to UCBM, and they're continuing to work with post-secondary institutions to address that problem. The solar projects, with the renewable pause, Minister Sigurdsson is open to policy suggestions from the ASBs and wants them forwarded to his office ASAP. So if anybody's got any suggestions or ideas of how to take and address some of the land classifications where these renewable projects are going, we're supposed to get them into them yesterday. Ag extension, there should be a plan for implementation coming forward shortly. They tendered it out to a third-party facilitator to make it happen. They're going to announce soon who that is. They say it's well-known who it is, so we'll see. And the last thing on extension was ASBs are encouraged to promote the government programs like the CAP program, RDAR, and that RELP program to its producers. And then we are going to get our ADM. John Conrad's going to be in attendance at the provincial conference on the 22nd. So he'll be in for the ASB chairs meeting. So any questions for him, we're supposed to have them prepared ahead of time. And I think that's the provincial report. Any questions?
That's awesome, you're on that.
So.
Good job.
Okay, and then I guess a short seed plant report too. So they had their AGM here, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something like that. So we did do some work in the 1122 plant. They took and they changed out the wind and screen in there. I actually got the contract to do it, so that was kind of neat. Learned some new stuff there, but that's been changed out in there. So they have newer, not brand new wind and screen in there. And then they're also they put a down payment on a mobile plant, so they're looking into going that direction and branching out their services. So that is supposedly supposed to be here in January. And that's all I have for that. Any questions? If there's nothing, Shane's moving all the reports.
All the reports.
Okay,
Every last one.
all in favor of that? Carried? All right, farm succession planning workshop, Lisa.
Yeah, so this was brought up by the Milk River Watershed Council. They've got extra money that they would like to spend. They have to spend it by March 31st, 2024. So they had suggested maybe one of these workshops in Cypress County type thing, or, you know, maybe in coordination, conjunction with 40 Mile or something like that too. They would pay for most of it. We would just have to kind of organize a facility and, you know, maybe buy lunch or something like that. But the ones that they have had down towards Cardston and Warner have been very successful. So they thought maybe something here would go over well. So just kind of wondering if you guys are on board. I think it would be a good idea, but, you know, what your
ahead, Shane.
thoughts are.
I think it's a good idea, and get a hold of 40 Mile and maybe just have it at 7 persons or something. That would be sort of
Yeah,
halfway in between, and it's a nice big hall, and could
yeah.
have it in there. I think it's a good idea.
Any dates or anything like that that you would think of, or just kind of whenever we could fit it in?
January sometime.
Between now
Yeah,
and March.
huh?
Between now and March.
Yeah, between the end of March, yeah. Kate will, I'll reach out to 40 Mile and see if they want to tag along on that or not, or whatever, and Kate? Okay, cool, thank you.
So Shane, you gonna make a motion in that regard then?
Yep.
Okay. So Shane moves to have a farm succession planning workshop in conjunction with Milk River Watershed and 40 Mile. All in favor? Carried. Egg drone school, Lisa?
So as you guys heard, there's going to be an egg drone school. When is that? In March. We had the 12th and 13th set aside, and it was promoted. And when I talked to Marcus, the organizer there at the conference last week, since he had posted it to the end of the conference, he had already a bunch of people signed up. So I don't know if he would have a capacity, you know, I'm sure he's fine with however many attendees. So the idea is to have it at 7 persons. He had requested that, so I've got the hall set aside for that. We'll just give him a down payment and, you know, whatever, that sort of thing. And I'll reach out to Marcus again then, and he can take all the registrations, and we'll do it that way, I think, then. If everybody's all good with that.
Go ahead, Josh.
He had one planned in Hilda and did not advertise it and then just canceled it. So I don't have a lot of faith in these guys
Okay.
to pull through, but I guess they're looking for funding to make it work, but
And it's,
advertised like 3 days before it was supposed to happen and then nobody showed up and then, yeah, it was kind of a mess.
okay, because I was just actually looking at his website this morning, just wondering if he had posted anything, and I saw that, and I'm like, oh, that's weird, I didn't know about that, or,
So that's why it was canceled, because nobody knew about it.
yeah, okay. Because I was looking and gonna reach out to him to see if he had an ad that we could start, you know, putting out there at times here, so,
You might
okay,
have to stay
well,
on 'em.
we'll make our own. Okay, so, was it Blaine that
Okay,
moved it?
so Blaine moves to host the drone school?
Yeah, I'll make that motion. I think that, you know, after the convention last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, there was a lot of, you know, they had a presentation there, and seemed like a lot of interested parties wanting to get involved in drones, so I think it'd be worthwhile thing.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, Egg for Life sponsorship?
Through my page. So they've reached out and have asked for the $1,500 again. We've done this for a while. It's in the budget for the $1,500. So if you guys are on board for that organization, it's a good one.
Go ahead, Connie.
Yeah, they sponsor, well, they look after they took over now, the classroom agriculture program, so.
Yeah.
Our meeting for that is January 31st, so I'll be the coordinator for Zone 1 again. And, yeah, I don't know how many schools last year. But Yeah, it's a good program. Their website's incredible. They had the trailer at the Stampede grounds. My grandkids were just in there, couldn't get them away from there, so,
Really?
yeah, they loved it. Yeah, so,
I feel like we asked, no, we didn't specifically ask for that. I think the promotions had kind of reached out to them for sponsorship for the provincial conference, thinking maybe they would bring that trailer, but they just said no to everything. So, you know, it's kind of too bad that they wouldn't have brought that trailer and,
well, it could be
Won't
that
get in
they're
there.
just, got too much right now.
yeah,
They only bring it out in the summer, I think,
and maybe that's why.
or like better climate, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway,
so Connie's moving to donate $1,500 to Ag for Life.
Yes, I am.
Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, the Alberta Invasive Species Council sponsorship.
so they've reached out again for 2024 sponsorship, and in the past, we've donated $1,000. We've done that for quite some time, and, I mean, we utilize this organization a lot throughout the year and that sort of thing, so it's very worthwhile as well, in my opinion, so.
Okay. Josh, you're moving that? Okay, so Josh moves to donate $1,000 to the Alberta Invasive Species Council. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Alberta Native Bee Monitoring Program.
So this is something, the Alberta Native Bee Council has asked for partnerships to help with their bee monitoring for 2024. So we had done, I think they do it every 5 years. So in 2018, I guess, or 18, we participated in this. So it's to put up traps in probably 4 locations and just to go and monitor, collect the insects that are in there every couple weeks type thing. And it just gives them a good idea of the species that are here and that sort of thing. And I'd actually, this is Megan Evans too, as part of the Bee Council. I'd asked her the other day if it would be beneficial to have traps more towards the Cypress Hills because they have different plants down there and then maybe different bee species and stuff too. So she thought, oh yeah, maybe that was kind of a neat idea and just to kind of see what's out there. So if you guys are kind of on board for monitoring, checking those traps every few weeks type thing, then we can
Go ahead,
help
Shane.
them out.
I agree. Monitor some of this.
If it fits in your program, if it'll work for you without tying you up too much. No.
Yeah, and we're out checking some of those other traps and stuff anyway, so we can usually fit those kinds of things in relatively easily without disrupting too much.
Okay, so Blaine's gonna move to partner with Alberta Native Bee Council and help them this year. All in favor? Carried.
Apparently there was mice in the traps last year because they're really close to the ground. So that's kind of gross.
As long as there's
yeah.
no rats. The 24 Provincial ASB Conference.
So again, just clarifying to know who to register, if, you know, who's going and who's not type thing,
Is everybody going to the provincial conference? It's in Lethbridge,
January.
in January?
You can't, okay.
Go for one day, probably, like
Okay. I knew you had a sale in there somewhere, so, okay. So, okay, and, sorry, you're going, you're
Yeah.
both going?
I
All-
registered for a booth, so,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, so I don't know if I need another ticket.
yeah, I can find out.
For selling books. I got another one.
Monday night,
Monday night, yeah.
yeah. So if you leave home at lunchtime, you'll make her for beer 30.
I noticed in the agenda that the banquet is
Just use your mic, Josh.
I noticed in the agenda that the banquet's on the last night, so then I guess after that we'd be released.
So you can sleep in if you need to, or,
Yeah.
Or you can go home.
I'm
or,
not going home that night.
yeah. But yeah, like, we'll have rooms booked for that night, obviously, so.
Where are we staying?
Say the Hilton.
Yeah. It's close to the casino, right going into town there, so,
At someone's request.
yeah. I can't remember which one it was. Holiday Inn? Okay.
Okay, so Shane's gonna move to register those who put their hand up.
Shane. So Blaine, I'll register you anyway,
What's the cost like? I mean, I don't want to,
$787.
yeah, but I don't want to put a burden on it. I mean,
Well, it is what it is.
because I can come up, I just don't book me a hotel.
Okay,
Like, I could come up for the day and then go back home.
I would, if you wanna come up for something, I'd probably come up for when we do the resolutions.
Yeah, like
So
that's,
I think there's 2 sessions of them, Tuesday and Wednesday. But I think by what I've seen, there's only 7 resolutions so far, so that'll probably get through them all in just one day.
oh, well, that would be good.
Yeah.
so,
But when's your sale, did you say?
the Thursday, the 24th,
Oh, okay,
or 5th, I mean. So it's
25th.
the day, so the day before is really hard, the 23rd's really hard, but the Tuesday I could come up for.
Yeah. Because we should get it all through 'em unless there's a bunch of emergents.
So, yeah, yeah, go ahead and register me, and then and just don't bother booking me a hotel room and stuff. I'll just probably travel back and forth, so
okay,
it's not that far.
okay. Okay,
My
because
expense.
like if you wanted a room for one night or something, either come up for that night or something, and
Stay for the Tuesday, and, yeah.
I'll do that, and then if
Sure.
we can cancel it or whatever if you want.
I'll try to get some stuff done that I need to get done, weighing and Tesco measurement, stuff like that on.
And no pressure, like if you can't make it, then you can't or whatever, and, yeah, okay. Okay,
Okay, so all in favor?
so 5.
Carried. Okay, 7.7, that's just the cleanup motion from that letter of support we sent for the Ag Academy.
Yeah.
So Connie's gonna move that.
Yep, sure.
All in favor of that?
I'm hoping she got it. I didn't, I
Carried.
emailed it and I never heard
She got it. yeah,
anything, so, okay.
You
So,
betcha.
Okay, just call me here, sorry.
She responded to me and I just never forwarded it on because I didn't remember.
No, that's fine. I assumed she had.
Okay, 7.8 is the ASB bursaries. We have got 2 applications and we have 2 bursaries. So if there's no contention to it, I think we just award those 2 to, I'm gonna butcher these names, so I'll let Lisa do it.
Caleb D. Sorry, what? Driedinger, okay. And who was the other one again?
And
Zach
and
Herman.
Zach Herman, yeah.
That's an easy one.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Whoops.
Okay, so Josh is gonna move that. Questions? All in favor? Carried? Okay, policy review, 7.9.
So that was just kind of updating the policy for that bursary because there was a few things in there that just said home economics, which seems a little bit outdated, so, I mean, there could be some tweaks again if you like or whatever, but we just kind of added ag technology and environmental, so. And just rearrange some of it to kind of follow the layout of council's scholarships, so.
Go ahead, Connie.
Oh, I move it.
Thank you, Connie. Okay, any other questions on these updates?
You thought I was sleeping.
I did. If there is no other questions, all in favor? Carried? Okay, 7.10 drone spraying. Connie?
Well, in the presentation, it said it's not, you're not allowed to use drones for spraying herbicides, and they're doing aerial applications with airplanes, and to me, a drone just seems a little bit more on-target spraying than a plane does. I mean, I've experienced, annihilating my garden with the plane, so I'm thinking a drone is going to be a better way to go, and just, I mean, we're not going to be able to put a resolution forward this time, but, for the books for next year, that we send something to PMRA requesting that they consider drone.
It's not too late for an emergent if you want to do an emergent.
Qualify for emergent, because it's got to be like an issue, an imminent issue,
Yeah.
to be emergent at the ASB provincial conference. So,
Yeah, the only reason to say it may qualify is because there's only one a year, so it puts you a whole year out of it.
yeah. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, to me, a drone would be more on target. It's better for the environment because it's not using as much fuel as an airplane. And I mean, and they can spray without the speed that an airplane does. And they're doing it in the US, right? They're spraying with drones in the US.
That is correct. Just give me 1 second here. Go ahead, Shane.
I agree with Connie, but I think it's something that's coming. It's something newer here, as people like these drone schools, once they learn about spraying, and they'll realize that it's maybe more efficient than a plane, and that it just may start turning that way on its own. I don't know, I mean, because plane, it is quicker, and faster than probably with a drone. I'm not sure, but
See,
I think it's something that may sort of turn on its own with efficiency.
but I think it's something you have to get PMRA, you have to start pressuring them right now because they move pretty slow. So that's why I'm thinking it gets on there right now on the agenda.
Go ahead, Blaine.
I guess that's my question for Connie is, so that's what your action is to get it approved or not, like, or disapprove the planes, or what were your, like, what's the action?
Oh, the action is to allow drones to spray herbicides.
Isn't it already there?
No,
No, it's not allowed in Canada yet.
Okay, well, that was my
Yeah.
question.
yeah.
Go ahead, Josh.
Something that is.
I just don't know if they'll classify it as emergent. I can find out. Go ahead, Josh.
It's a chemical by chemical thing, though. It's a registration thing on the chemicals that are being used. It's not, so there's a broad scope of chemicals that it would have to be approved for.
Yeah.
It's not just that, it's a blanket thing. It has to be approved.
Well, I was thinking that any aerial application, any chemical that can be applied aerial can also be applied by a drone.
It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, it just might be 5 years out yet that the right PMRA works.
I have a feeling there'll be a lot of people spraying off label.
Yeah, I think if we could, the only way we'll define it as emergent is if we can find a need for it next year.
Grasshoppers.
Well, grasshoppers or something like that.
With planes?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. Grasshoppers.
If you want to take and push the issue of getting insecticides registered, or certain, I don't even know what insecticides they'll use, like Desis or whatever, it's something you can apply with the plane. So if you want to push getting Desis registered, that's something we could do. That would be classified as emergent, I would believe.
I don't know, we'd have to find out.
Well, yeah,
Could,
Because it,
I can make one phone call and find that out, so.
yeah.
you could pitch it as a human health concern too, if it's safer to spray that stuff with a drone than it is with a,
With an airplane.
I don't think that'll push it. It's immediate, it would have to be something immediate need.
Like immediate that came up since the South Region Conference. So it has to be immediate from October
Yeah.
to January.
So it's not really.
I don't
New
think it
grasshoppers
is.
were there.
Yeah,
Might be tough.
I know, but I
well, we didn't think of it.
I thought about, when I was listening to, at the Ag Connections conference, I was sitting with Lisa and I said, geez, we should, when the drone guy spoke, I said, gee, that should be a resolution. So, but that's why I'm saying, have it on the books now, and then we've got all year to formulate a really good resolution, and then, yeah, get lots of information. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna qualify for
No. I don't think so
emergent.
Instead of a resolution, could we write a letter from the Ag Service Board with support of other ASBs to PMRA?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. We can
Instead
write-
of doing a
We can write whatever we want. I don't know if it carries any weight, but we could.
But it would be a
I
start,
mean, it's something, yeah.
Yeah, and then formulate it and
and then formulate it
Follow it.
into a resolution next year.
exactly, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. So what's your motion, Connie?
I make a motion that we write PMRA a letter requesting drone herbicide application with drones wherever aerial applications are allowed or registered.
Okay, clear as mud. Lisa will fine tune that. And then also to prep a resolution for next year.
Exactly, what Dustin said.
Is that part of the motion?
I would say that could all be one motion.
Yeah.
Okay, questions on that? Go ahead, Blaine.
So are we further asking for support from other counties then? Or so we'll need to send them?
We'll have to send it to them before we,
We'll just write a letter and then send it out to the AAAF, and then they'll all, well, whoever will jump on board and write their own, and
yeah.
we'll get,
We'll send our own, and they'll all send them something identical, more than likely is usually how it works. So bombard them with mail.
yeah.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, Josh, 7.11, the Queen Farms Hilda site.
Yeah, so it's come to my attention through a ratepayer, we're having some grain bag pieces blowing around at that site. The grain bag area where the bags are isn't very contained, so it, definitely something that can happen. So I don't know if we need to address it to Municipal Works. I've already talked to Kim about it, but, since it's kind of in our realm, the Clean Farms thing, we should try and address that. Either move them inside the Hilda transfer site containment area, which is already fenced, which would be the cheapest option, or come up with another plan. That would be what I'd be in favor of, is just moving it into a corner of the Hilda transfer site. The other thing is, I did bring up at our Hilda AGM about the twine recycling and the site at Schuler still being open and stuff like that, so people are aware. And bags, were you able to get bags?
I asked for bags, and I don't think we have any yet, so I'll ask again. I had taken a roll of the big chemical bags up there, just to use in the meantime.
Well, that was something else. Does Clean Farms have a bigger size bag that would go inside a tote? There are some producers asking for bigger size bags that would fit inside a tote.
Yeah.
And then you can just throw your jugs in there and then wrap them up.
Not that I know of, but I could ask and see.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so any motion out of there, Josh, then?
I guess I'll make a motion to direct Municipal Works to look into
Direct staff to
staff.
talk with municipal.
Staff to talk to Municipal Works through the channels to address the
Lisa.
grain bag site.
Good with that, Lisa?
Got it, yeah.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, and then 7.12, weed control on renewables. Josh, did you have anything else you want to talk about on that?
No, but when you said oil and gas sites, does that include renewables?
It includes any leaseholder other than the landowner.
Okay. So that is my question on these sites with renewable resources. Is the owner of the land or the leaseholder responsible for the weed mess, or both of them? So say we were to issue a weed notice, would it go to the landowner or would it go to the leaseholder?
So currently, as the Weed Control Act's written, it would go to the landowner. And that's what they're looking at changing, is making it that it could go to the leaseholder, and the leaseholder could also be charged if the county had to take care of it,
Okay.
to what I understand.
And I mean, to write a weed notice, it's got to be a regulated weed is the only other issue, I
Like
guess.
a noxious weed?
Yeah, noxious or prohibited noxious, so if it's kosher or something that's 8 feet high.
Can't do anything about it.
Can't.
So how do we handle those from a agriculture board or a weed perspective on these sites that are filled with kochia, or if they underseed them to wild oats? How do we deal with those to help I know the ratepayers signed up and leased their land out, but how do we hold these renewable energy companies accountable for this?
And I know, I don't know what her position is, Elise there. Some of the public works gals who are kind of working with the renewables and that sort of thing have been doing it. Like, I know she's reached out wondering how to control kochia and different things. So I don't know if she's getting many questions about that. I know one of them was up at Hilda Way, you know, and that sort of thing. So she's working with it. I don't know what all their agreements look like. I feel like some of them now are having weed control measures right in the agreements. I've seen one of those lately. So maybe it's all hopefully going to be included, and if it's written down, then I don't know,
But if it's written down, and in their plan, they have a invasive species or a plant that we know has trouble, like wild oats, I just want to get ahead of this before we have all these sites up and then it's the Wild West again. The other thing is, if the fire load's too high in there, can emergency services do something?
Yeah, and I'm curious to see where the ADM goes with this. And if you have suggestions, I can give them out to them. So,
Like, there's got to be some avenues that we can, because, you know, with an oil and gas well, it's one site, you know, you can control it's small, but with these solar projects, it could be a half section of problem weeds that are going to cause everybody issues. Sure, they have a chain link fence around there, but it's the neighbors around them. And so I'd like somehow to get ahead of this so that I know it's a province-wide thing, but get ahead of it so that we have a plan on on how to deal with these, because we wouldn't let a landowner go, you know, have a mess on a half section.
okay, so I think what I would suggest here is, since they're looking at this, we should take and draft a letter to the ADM in regards to what we want to see for control measures put in place, not only for well sites, but also for renewables. And we'll just get Josh, you to work with Lisa on that, and we'll send it off to him, because it's better to get it to him now while they're working on changing the Weed Control Act.
Should we include something from emergency services on something, like have Chief Litton?
I think we can sub it all into one letter, so let's make it right, and go, what do you got, Shane? Go ahead, sorry.
That was what I was gonna say. I mean, because like Josh said, this chain link, the weeds there, and I know kochia isn't but you get it too high, it's a big bomb. You get a fire going in there and it's 3 feet high in there. It's gonna come out in a big hurry and wild. I mean, so it has to be with emergency services too. I mean, it's just not invasive weeds, it's all weeds, because we wouldn't let a landowner have a whole section of weeds like this. I mean, first of all, his neighbors would be over there hanging them, but it has to be emergency services too included on all types of weeds, height and.
How do you want to go about this, Lisa?
DM or whatever, like, he's gonna be like, I don't know what legislation it would fall under, really, you know, because that's for regulated weeds, so unless they start adding other weeds on there, I'm not sure how that works, to be honest,
So the
so,
Weed Act only works on noxious weeds?
and, yeah, prohibited noxious.
Well, it's got a
So-
classification for nuisance, but there's no actions you can take against it.
So I think,
about-
I think maybe what we want to ask for is something added to the Weed Control Act that we can superimpose
Thank you.
weed regulation on top, onto renewable projects.
There's nothing we can do within the Soil Conservation Act, can we?
Potential.
Well, if there's something growing there that doesn't classify in the Soil Conservation Act.
I guess, but
I'll have to look into it and see.
it's just something that I think we need to get ahead of.
So maybe let's get Lisa to do some research and talk to some of her associates and get her to bring back some
Yeah.
information.
Because, I mean, this is an issue, not just here.
No, it's everywhere.
So,
It's everywhere.
I'll reach out to a few people and talk to fire chief and stuff and see if he would have avenues or something, and,
It'd be nice to have some policy within our county
Yeah.
to deal with it.
or some kind of a bylaw or something, yeah.
Well, maybe that's what it falls under, is a bylaw.
Like, could it be, you know, like, I'm thinking like unsightly bylaw, but that would pertain to hamlets, maybe? Like, would.
I don't know.
Would these things, I don't know, yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, let's do some research on it
Yeah.
and get her to bring it back, and then maybe we can go ahead with a plan if there's something in the Weed Control Act, or if there's something within a bylaw within the county, or there's gonna be an avenue for it to go, we just gotta figure out what that is.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
The bylaw is probably going to be the easiest thing
It's
because,
easiest to address from here.
yeah,
Yeah.
because, and then every other municipality can do the same.
And
Because
maybe
the
some-
Weed Control Act has, it's just been reviewed, probably won't be opened up for a while again, right?
Well, they're opening it for well sites or whatever, so,
Oh.
you know,
And that's where I'm thinking, if they're opening it to deal with that, they should probably deal with this at the same time.
Exactly.
but I just don't know that it would really fall under there. But maybe they could add in a new section or something, like with the nuisance, can we try and do something, you know?
If it, yeah, a nuisance and fire hazard.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so Lisa will bring back, let's just, Josh, if you wouldn't mind, just do a motion for her to bring that back for us.
I'll make a motion to direct staff, is that how it goes?
Yep.
To look into what we can do with these renewable sites and oil and gas sites with, in terms of weed control.
Okay, any questions on that? All in favor? Carried. All right, is there anything in correspondence that we need to go over, Lisa?
Just Phragmites, that's what they had found recently, in the city. So just a fact sheet there. ASB position statement. Drought relief, you guys know all about that. And then just some letters there too that you can peruse. But yeah, no, I think that's about it.
Okay. Go ahead, Shane.
Just with the Yellowhead counties, when they said the hay shortage in northern United States, they haven't drove through Montana lately and seen all the bales.
Oh,
There's a
getting
lot.
them from there, they're gonna be full of knapweed. Oh, great.
Yeah, lots of hay coming out of Montana right now. Okay, anything else to come before the meeting, guys? Seeing nothing, we will adjourn at 12:05.
Oh, 5. Thank you.
There's deer and antelope coming out of the States.